Hello everyone, welcome back to another edition of the Velvet Lounge Life. And I am coming to you from, of all places, the kitchen or the breakfast nook, if you will, because this is really like a separate room within itself almost. And I am here to talk about junk journal lookbooks and my latest custom creation. This one has, I'm going to say I started out in my mind sort of thinking about a like 1700s, maybe even late 1600s pirate theme. And then I ended up going elsewhere with it. So you know how I am. My books can go from A to Z. I definitely do them with a different type of style. And that's okay because that's the whole idea of these junk journal lookbooks, which is what mine is sort of a combination of, as well as somewhere to keep your memories, whether they're in writing, drawings, doodles, stickers, cards, letters, notes, tickets, whatever it is, you can, photographs, of course. You can put them in any of these books and have them for hopefully many, many, many generations. And so without further ado, let's look at this one. And yes, this is my French cup and saucer set. And I had a little cup of really strong tea. And then I was looking at the cup and saucer. And I was like, this kind of goes with this theme that I have going. So that's why I left it in the picture. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and click the like button, which is that thumbs up. I would greatly appreciate it. It helps the channel so that YouTube knows that this is content that people actually care about. And that we are a community. That's what we're trying to build here. So without further ado, let's get into this one. So as you can see on the cover, I have a lot going on. And I also have a mantra where I, truly do believe that the back cover is as important as the front. So we will see that in a minute as well. But if there's a title to this book, it could be Last Year, Table of Contents, which could be anything. And I have bits that I cut out from an antique book, as well as I was sort of experimenting with this marbled tissue paper effect where you use a variety of tissue papers overlapping. And you use your Mod Podge and you go at it as aggressively as you want. And this is like an afterthought, like something I did after everything else was on the page. And then I just put a little hint of it here just to sort of tie it in. This is from a label from a rum cake that my friend gave my family. And that is really what put into my mind doing a cover like this. And here you have a woman who is dressed as if she would have been from the 1600s or early 1700s. So, and actually I cut this out from a stamp. And yes, an antique stamp. I know there are people out there that are like, oh my God, she cuts up actual real antique and vintage stamps. She cuts up antique and vintage books. She cuts up antique and vintage ephemera. Yes, I do. However, if it was something of a vast value, then of course I would not do that. But that is like something that I personally like and I am okay sacrificing, is putting actual vintage and antique ephemera as well as modern things as well into my junk journal lookbooks. It's what I like to do. And here we have actual gold plated chain. So I use a jeweler's glue when I glue things that are made of like hard materials. Those are glued down with a special jeweler's glue. Unless you pry it off with like a screwdriver, it is not going anywhere. and the chains actually move here on the bottom. So I sort of like the fact that they have a little life in action. Here we have a series of hearts that are strung along, and those are also glued down with that jeweler's glue. I have antique and vintage stamps here, going back to the 1800s up to, I think, 1939. I think that might be the most recent, or, oh, this one, 1961. And then I have this button cover that it's gold. So, hey, pirates, gold, silver, whatever. And then here I have some bits that I cut from a magazine. This is from an old, or vintage, I should say, greeting card. Vintage, this was from like the I believe 70s. And bits of lace. This is actually antique lace. This is vintage from the 1950s. This is from the maybe 60s or 70s. And what I did with this side lace is I actually fringed it, doing a side or a diagonal cut on it versus a standard straight cut. So when you touch it, it actually has more action to it. And then I have ribbon. So I do like using this ribbon that you would use for like gifts. So yes, I use that type of ribbon, plus I have plenty of it, and as well as other ribbon. The ribbon I have here actually acts as a bookmark. So I sort of like it outside of the book versus inside, just for, you know, aesthetics. And here I have an antique token. So yes, token collectors, I'm naughty like that. And so what we have inside, so my inside covers, meaning the back and front covers, what I did with those is okay, it was a process, but I can show it to you in a future video if you simply want to see how I got this effect. But it required plenty of Mod Podge. It required cutting up vintage embroidery thread, cutting that thread into different sizes, running it through another type of special glue, and then placing them, like the pieces, on this page after I put down all the paper decoration I wanted. Like this came from a vintage rock and roll magazine, I believe. I'm looking at it sideways. It came from either that or let me just look. Oh yeah, okay, so sorry. This actually came from a survey that was in a vintage newspaper magazine talking about real estate. That's where this came from. And then I have pieces from, like, this is a modern magazine. This is something from a business newspaper. And these are pieces of trim that go from this side all the way underneath the signature that are sewn into the other side. You'll see that at the end. And here what I also have is my very first pocket in this book. So what you see here as this golden trim is actually from, yes, you're not misreading, Ferrero Rocher. I actually have quite a bit of this tape, and it comes from their Lucite candy boxes. And so I saved some so that I could use them in these different lookbook journals. And it, you know, think of it as a pretend washi tape. And maybe that's what washi tape is based on. Who knows? But then the other thing that you see here is a little like cluster. So I have a butterfly. I have this cloth piece of a silk flower. This little black back piece is just like a little scrap that I had left over. And so this is all on the envelope or the folder, as you can see. And then I have more of this same trim. And you'll see that I sort of like to keep some sort of continuity and consistency. So I do sort of like the repeat of materials. And I this time cut this fringe going straight across, and then underneath you'll see that there is Oh, I'll do it on this side. I have this large pocket. It goes from here all the way down, and you can see how deep it is, and it's right up front. So a great place to keep any of your memories that you want, you know, and obviously having a window here, if you had a picture or something you wanted to display, you could do that there as well. But plenty, I believe in plenty of storage. And on the next page, I have this, which is actually a cutout from, I'm giggling because I think you'll giggle with me, a packet of organic Trader Joe Le Petits carrots with many colors. So they sell these great carrots that come in like purple, red, yellow. I think there might be a couple orange ones in there. And we buy them all the time. And I just was looking at the label, about to throw the bag away after we had consumed the carrots, of course. And I was like, I could cut that out and use it in my book. So yeah, that's a thing. It happens. And to get this to stick, you cannot use like, I know there are people who like to use Elmer's glue in their projects. Elmer's just doesn't, I don't believe, stick as well as tacky glue, or I use like 3 different types of glues when I'm making these, and this is like permanently down. If I used Elmer's, it definitely would easily peel up. So just know your glues when you're making these. And then on the inside, what I have is this dangler tassel thing, which is made out of various beads, vintage beads to a couple, I think I have 2 antique beads in here, and some newer beads, and this metal piece here. And you could write right inside. If you had notes, you could write them in there. If not, just let it be. One of my favorite slides. So yes, old photo slides are great for these books if it kind of fits your theme. And this one is of Harper's Ferry. And yeah, you can actually hold this up to the light, see what the picture is in it, and it flips back and forth. I used washi tape on this, so you could put a little hidden note back there if you wanted to, but once again, you have all of this space for writing. I just created these little corners. And then here we have another envelope, and this envelope is once again musically themed, so you can see I'm trying to tie things in at least a little bit. And this one has a sentiment on it, of course. And then I put this little toggle, which is like a toggle pricing sticker, and I made like just a little pull of it. And you can see the storage is right there in the back, and of course a little window will let you display things if you want to. If you don't, that's fine. And here's some washi tape here and there on this one, which I use. This is actually gold washi tape, so this is not Ferrero Rocher this time. Red, and this one with all these little bits and bobs on it. Flip it over. You have another place where you can write. You have this accordion where you can open it up, and it says Misty Moist Morning. And the reason why I put that in here is because several of the book pages in here are from this particular book. And then it just kind of folds out of the way. But if you wanted to write on this, obviously draw pictures, doodle. There's fancy papers, always fancy papers. You know how we love our fancy papers. And then the other thing that you see is, or are, I should say, are pages from said book that I mentioned. So honestly, the artwork in this book is a little bit creepy, but befitting if you're doing a pirate themed book, I guess. And I put several of those pages in here. You know, you could color these in, you could write on them. There's plenty of like area. You could read the story. This is not the complete book. And here I found this beautiful picture in another book, and I actually cut it out, did a little fancy work on the corners to round them out, pasted that in here. So it interrupts that misty story, misty morning story. And then more fancy papers, of course. And then we get down to having this, which is just, I think, like a fun area of craziness, honestly. If you want to go to a fantastical land of naughty papers, I'm going to call this that. This is like 4 different pockets all in this one cluster. And so here I actually use this, this is from a VHS tape. So those that remember what VHS tapes are, they came with like these little labeling bits and bobs, like stickers, these cards. This is one of the cards. I simply opened it up, and right here there's a tuck. There's a pocket right here. Actually, I have a card. I can show you how that works. So let me just put that there. So this tucks in here, but then if you flip it over, there's a pocket here, and this one, as you can see, is clear so that you'll be able to, see whatever you put in there. And then I will actually take this out of this pocket. You have a secret tuck area right behind it, right here. So there's a pocket there. And then behind this tab that's up at the top, there's still yet another pocket. So I just want to turn that sideways so you can see that's a separate pocket from this pocket. So lots of hidden pockets in this area. That's 1. That's 2, that's 3. Oh, there's one behind the yellow sheet, one behind there, and this front visible one equals 4. So lots of pocket fun there. So imagine all the secret little things you could hide in there. You could put your pin money in there, you could put some tickets, whatever. And then here I have a tuck area. So here is, with a sentiment on it, and I added this just for a little bit of flash of color. I have some old paper, which this paper is actually from the New York Stock Exchange, and I believe this one is dated, yes, 1967. It's upside down, but there is the date. So some vintage paper. This is actually from a clothing brand, and I simply just replaced it with my own ribbon, which I will curl again. There you go. And of course, just some regular white paper, lined paper, and then this kind of goes on for a while. You could see where this particular signature was sewn in. I should have shown you the others maybe, but you don't want to be here all night. And yeah, one of the things I did as well is I took this lined paper and inserted it between some of the New York Stock Exchange paper so that it just gave some variety to this particular signature. And then back here on this page, we have the word dazzle. And these are actually letters that I punched out and I colored using a permanent metallic silver marker so that it just gave it some pizzazz and color versus being white. And then I have just some little scraps that I had left, some bits and bob paper bits here and there. I love this city scene with this corner building. I actually know where this is. And of course, another sentiment. So that, that's the other thing with these books, put some sentimentality into them. It's totally fine. I know lots and lots of people do that. Plenty of this beautiful green paper in here for you to write on. And then here is a side pocket, or tuck, I should say. Maybe it's a pocket tuck combination. And this is actually from a vintage greeting card from the 1960s, I believe it was. And what I did is simply cut around the bits of greenery and the flowers so that it had, a different shape versus just being squared out or whatever, just to give it something more interesting to look at. And we will skip because these are just clean sheets of paper. And here I have I call them frames, because you can, put a photograph in these or a picture of whatever you want, or just put whatever you want in here, but you can imagine a nice photograph, going in there, and it goes from here to here, so plenty of room to get a photo in there. And I left a little lip at the bottom so that it'll tuck into the bottom. This is just over the page, and this came from a photo packet back in the day, and this one is dated, I believe, 1944. This one came from an era when you got your photographs back from a photography studio or processing studio. They would be stapled into a booklet like this. So you almost already had your own little photo packet or photo album that you could carry around and show all of your friends what you did. Oh, and this is what the back looks like, and this is the maker. So once again, a vintage or antique piece of ephemera. And like I said, this one I just put over the page, so it just can sit like that. And I put these papers on a diagonal. I actually cut off the corners, 1, 2, 3, 4, and these corners I will actually use as like corners on other pages. You saw me do this and that in this book already. And I don't mind having these little bits here, because look at my hand in comparison, or this business card in comparison too. There's plenty of room to write there, or you could even tuck things in between. Here I have a little hidden area for writing. So there's this card, there's this little sticker with a bunny rabbits on it, piece of vintage trim, and there's some clean paper in here. I use scissors to decorate the corners, the edges, and then of course in the back, that could be your, secret writing area. And here we have plenty of paper. So this is a book, obviously, that's meant for you to take notes, use as an actual journal, use it to, if you're in school or something, you need to get inspired, use it for that, whatever you want. And then here I love making little scrap notebooks. So this is a scrap notebook that I put in on, and I turned it so that it's sideways. And with this, you have this little cartouche, and I did add some little stickers so that it's a little more interesting. And I have papers that are 3 different sizes in here. This is Grace and Beauty, of course. So another area for notes. I love having plenty of areas for notes. And here we have a belly band, a thick belly band. So this is not a pocket. This will go all the way through. And, another place for storage, some tabs that I added. And we'll go through this. And when we open this up, what we get is this. And once again, somewhere for you to make notes, to have a really unique area for that. Some decorative bits and bobs, color swatches. And, this piece actually came from a book that was from 1903 I've been using a lot. And here I actually added an embellishment as well. I did a lot of cutting out on this. You know how I am about paper folding. So if you want to see a video on some of my paper folding adventures, I guess I'll call them, please let me know in the comments down below. And here we have another belly band. So that one goes sideways. This is not a belly band. This is just, here as decoration and interest. And down here it says work and sentiments. And this actually came from a sheet music bit. This came from a shoe box. You know how you get your shoe boxes, and this is from a Doc Martin box, and sometimes they they cut these holes in it so that the leather can breathe. And sometimes these circles end up in the box. I just took this, opened it up, reinforced it with glue, and then opened it so that I could use it as a tab. And once again, plenty of beautiful, fun, crazy decorative paper. And then here we have a Star Wars themed page and Chewbacca. And this came from a Star Wars greeting card. This came from a separate greeting card, but Star Wars themed as well. And then here we have like more paper, and on the back we have this amazing, I think it's amazing, place for storage. And what you do, it's a side open, so it opens at the top and it opens at the side, so that you have plenty of room to put whatever you want in it. This, I actually used something that was a cutout. I cut this out myself, actually. And then I colorized the envelope just using some watercolor, washi tape. I put the word important, created some fringe down here at the bottom with this silver metallic paper, which is super fun to touch. It has some clocks on it, and here is in my own signature as signing this book, and some other little bits and bobs. And you could see that string detail. It goes through to the back of the book, as well as that fringe that I was telling you about. And then here on the very back, because you know what I talk about, the back cover, I did some decorating as well. And this is actually from avocados. It's, I had like this, I think it was a bag of 6 or 8 or whatever. And I was like, ooh, look at that purple. I have to use it on this book. And I did. This is a leaf from outside. I don't know why I put this leaf on there, but I just felt that that's where it belonged. And here is a newer stamp. When is this one from? I'm not sure. Oh, 1982. So this is from 1982. This is from some embroidery floss. We have a stamp here, which I believe is from the 1960s. And once again, just little bits and bobs here and there. Some more of that like bagging from avocados on the bottom. And I actually curved the lace on this one on the back this time versus doing it straight. And you can see this, how the signatures are sewn in here. There are 1, 2, 3, 4 signatures in this book. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this. Oh, don't forget, what is that? A giant rhinestone. And it's prong set at that. So a good rhinestone. But please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. To do that, all you have to do is press the YouTube subscribe button that is near the title or down below this video. And of course, if you give us a little thumbs up, it literally takes 1/10 of a second, if that, to do so. And if you don't like the video, give us a thumbs down. Tell us why in the comments. If there's anything that you saw that you would like me to cover more in a future video, or see how I did it, any questions, any ideas you would like to share, I am open to everything. If you want to become friends and pen pals, this is where you could do it with this channel, be part of the community. The other thing is we are giving away 2 of these books. This book might be yours. And I have another book that we are also giving away. And we're doing it just as a summer giveaway to say thank you for all of the support, for those that actually follow the channel and those that subscribe. So to enter, all you have to do is be a subscriber to this particular channel and leave a comment down below. If you watch any of our old videos or new videos, every single time you leave a comment, as long as you're a subscriber to the channel, that will be an additional entry. We have hundreds of videos on this channel. Some are longer, some are shorter. I don't care which of the videos you watch. We are using YouTube's tabulator to keep track of, you know, who is entered to win. And who knows, if it gets exciting enough, we might actually give away something else. Like, I've been trying to give away groups of buttons for quite a while, which are great for these books, but they're also great for those that collect buttons and or want to identify them or start collecting or use for other crafts. So thank you guys for tuning in. Remember that your health is your wealth, and without your health, you have absolutely nothing. So please take care of yourselves and enjoy your day.